Welcome, everyone, to the Better Love Movement podcast, where you will finally learn how to intentionally do dating and relationships right. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I'm a licensed professional therapist and your personal love mentor. I've worked with thousands of singles and couples, giving them the skills needed to attract and keep the amazing love they desire. It's my heart's work to help people to get the skills needed to not only become the very best versions of themselves, but to help them grow and evolve emotionally and relationally. You can absolutely have the romantic relationship of your dreams. Come and let me show you how. Welcome, ladies. I am back again with another episode of the podcast. My name is Anita Stoudemire, and I am your resident love mentor and licensed professional counselor, the host of the Better Love Movement podcast. And we are in episode number 127 this week. I've got a good one for you. It is entitled Healing for Men. Where should they begin? So today I am talking to Carl Serrette, a dating and relationship coach and the co-host of the Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters live Facebook show. Let me tell you a little bit about Carl. So Carl is a native New Yorker who currently resides in Greensboro, North Carolina. He is a father of two amazing kings and a graduate of Hampton University with a degree in business, and who served honorably in the U.S. military, receiving numerous medals and commendations. He is a business owner and a FOREX trader. Carl truly found his passion after his divorce, realizing that many men did not have the resources to learn how to heal. He is a certified relationship coach, specializing in helping men to learn how to date after divorce and bringing the king out of men who desire to marry. He teaches how to build healthy relationships and to strengthen our community. Carl has hosted the workshop, Bringing the King Out of You. He truly knows his faith in God has put him on this journey that he embraces with a sense of urgency. Welcome to the show, Carl.
Thank you, Anita, for having me on. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So, Carl, I am familiar with you from the Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters Facebook page and the live Sunday show that you co-host. And now I follow you on Instagram. So please tell my listeners how you came to be in this dating and relationship coaching space.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Just like you said, when I went through my divorce, going to counseling and going to therapy, and I noticed a lot of times that there was not a lot of resources for men. There weren't a lot of books. There weren't a lot of sites. You have these different groups on Facebook and you're joining them. It was tons of resources for women, but there was nothing for men to go through. I came out of a situation where, my ex had an affair. And so after 20 years of marriage, I was like, okay, what do I do? And at first, I was kind of the mindset of, let me try to make this work. So there was no resources for that. Everything was, well, if that happens, walk away. And then there was no resources for, okay, if I do walk away, what do I do? How do I do this? I'm about to be a single dad with my two sons. And I'm like, I need help. And there was no help there. So it was like, eventually found a wonderful woman. She was a coach, counselor, and she took me and she was like, we had a long conversation. And she said, look, at the end of it, when I got to where I was starting to excel, she said, I'm just going to tell you this, but you might need to start this for men. She said, because I'm watching how you're growing and your passion for it, because I started researching numbers and data, different things like that. And so I said, you know what? Men need this. We need this. And then we also, so then when I started trying to date, you get in these single groups, and I was like, yeah, I didn't have to date since the early 90s, at this point in time. So here I am in, 2015, 2016, I have to date. And I was like, wow. But that's really where it became a need for me. I saw, and I started talking to other men and seeing other men who wanted to, who enjoyed being married. And, in some cases were blindsided, went through things, but they were like, what do we do? How do we do this? So God opened the door for me, and I took the time to get certified and to understand the accountability that I would have to these men doing this. And so here I am launching this thing, and it's been growing in the last 7 months. It's really taken off.
All right. Yeah. And I agree with you. I am seeing more male influencers, more male coaches, counselors. They're out in the social media space because it's needed, because it's needed. So I 100% agree. We need to see more men in these spaces talking to other men. I've often said that, like a woman talking to a man is a totally different experience than a man talking to a man. So that's what
Absolutely.
I personally love about it. And I've been trying to kind of the few males that are drawn to my platform is predominantly women, but I've been trying to kind of ease those men over into other male headed platforms because I'm like, you really need to talk to other men about this.
It does make a difference
Mhm.
because as the thing I went through is when I was telling people, it was like, when you're talking to a woman, it was like, well, what did you do wrong?
Right.
I was like, you make you think for a second. I'm like, nothing. I mean, I wasn't a perfect husband, but I didn't step
Hmm.
out my marriage. I didn't. So it made it hard having those conversations
Right.
sometimes. So so when I got with her, it was just like she was like, okay, she listened and she
Hmm.
allowed me to break things down. She allowed me to be vulnerable. That was a big thing. Allowed me to be vulnerable with her. And that was the thing she told me. She said, when you start working with these men, you've got to be willing to be vulnerable and allow them to be vulnerable and talking to them. So I agree. Yeah, having a man to talk to makes a big difference. My main mentor right now is a male, and he holds me accountable. But
Hmm.
like I said, no matter what I am, if I'm in a bad situation, I'm emotional, don't matter. I can call him, and he's not going to look down on me. He's going to allow me to express myself, and then he's like, okay, let's put a plan in place.
Right. Okay.
And
I
that
love it.
and that's what men have to do. Right? We got to hold each other accountable.
That's it. I agree. So, we're talking a little bit today about healing and what that may look like for the men who have experienced some of the traumas and the heartaches in life. So, what are your first thoughts on those steps that a man should take when approaching this topic of healing?
The first thing I tell is accountability,
Hmm.
and the accountability comes from admitting that I need healing. I need help. So it's an accountability of saying it's just like somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug addict. You admit you have a problem.
Mm,
You have to recognize that you need healing. That you need that you have to recognize you've been hurt. That's number
right.
one. I've
Right.
been hurt.
Mm,
With wherever the trauma came from, wherever it happened, whether it was in your youth, whether it was from a marriage, a bad relationship, your job, whatever it was, you've got to admit, hey, I need help. I've been hurt. And then you move to the next phase and still in that accountability of I've got to find somebody who can help me.
right.
Whether that's a counselor or a therapist, a life coach, you've got to get somebody who's willing to work with you to get you there. Step two, I actually really call it like 1A. That's like 1A. 1B is like forgiveness.
Right.
You've got to forgive the other person. I hear so many people like, particularly a client I got working with, his thing is, he went through a divorce. He's mad. He's still bitter. He's still angry. And I mean, he's been divorced 7 years. And
Wow.
he's like, I want a relationship, but I'll never trust women because I can't.
Oh,
And I was like, because you've never forgiven your ex.
right.
And I said, forgiveness isn't for you. Well, she's never apologized. It's not about that. I didn't get an apology for almost 3 years.
Yep.
But I forgave my ex for me because that takes that
Yep.
load off your shoulder and gave me peace so I can begin my healing process. So I always tell them, whether it's a man or woman, specifically men, don't hold it.
Right.
Because if you're bitter, you'll never be able to be in a healthy relationship because you're always looking at her as your ex. And that's not
Right.
fair to that particular woman that you're trying to build a relationship with. So definitely forgiveness. Um, Next thing is tuning out the negative people.
Mm.
Unfortunately, for a lot of men, when
Yep.
we go through stuff, men are taught not to show any type of emotion. We're
Hmm.
raised that way as kids. There's a popular meme that goes around. The mom's telling the little boy, "You're a man. You're not supposed to cry."
Right.
And the other half of the meme, the girlfriend or the wife is like, "Show some emotion." Well, he was raised never to show any emotion, so most men won't go get help. But when you
Right.
get in there to give them that help, don't worry about people calling you weak. Don't worry about people calling you that you're not a real man. You just have to tune those people out because,
Right.
and especially and our own men, because a lot of men will say that to other men
Right.
and be like, "You're going to counseling." I had ex friends. I'll say it that way now. Ex friends who were like, "I can't believe you're in counseling. Why would you do that? Men don't go to counseling.
Mm,
Therapy is for weak people." And I said, no, weak people are people who are not willing to take accountability for themselves and do what
that's
they need
it.
to do.
That's
I said,
it.
so if you don't want to become strong and stay weak, that's you. I'm
Yep.
not going to stay in this place.
Yeah.
So journal your journey.
Hmm.
I always tell men, journal your journey. Men were not big writers. Again, this is the abnormal mindset that's taught, to a lot of women, not to men. But I tell men,
Hmm.
journal. I journal every day.
Hmm.
I literally have a book coming out from my journaling, and so this is what's been able to help me with that. And surround yourself with safe people and
Right.
encouraging people.
Right.
That's a big
Yeah.
thing. People who will hold you accountable. And lastly, but I don't consider it last, prayer and meditation.
Mm.
Pray. Increase your spiritual walk.
Hmm.
Increase your reading of your word. Your time alone. It's like I said, I'm sitting out here in this park in this setting. I come out here every day. I go walk. I love it. I come out and I just sit and I pray. I meditate. I just tune everything out, and it's wonderful. And it starts my day off right. And
Right.
that's something is men, we've got to get more to that quiet time, because we're always going, we're always doing. You've got to take, even if it's 15 minutes, you got to take 15 minutes in the morning before your day starts to have that quiet time, meditate, and that way you can focus on what you have to do. But that's the biggest steps I would tell guys to take,
Mhm.
to start that healing process.
Okay. And I love the idea of, like you said, taking 15 minutes a day. So, as a therapist, I encourage also that people take 15 minutes a day. It could be in the morning, that would be ideal. It could be in the middle of the day, it could be at night, but you do some sort of grounding work. You do what I call sensory work. So you use those five senses and you
Mm-hmm.
take in your environment, whether it's sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, but you do something that makes you feel good, something that's positive. As you just stated, sitting out in nature, nature is incredibly healing. And I
Mm-hmm.
wish more people would embrace that being outside, watching the animals frolic, watching things grow, there's something very healing about that. So it really isn't like you said, it isn't hours on end, it's 15 minutes.
Right.
15 minutes. Everybody has 15 minutes, I would think. So I love that. I love the forgiveness tip. That's a great tip. That's a hard one though, because people people struggle with that. They struggle with forgiving. But like you said, it's not for the other person, it's for you. It's so you can
Correct.
unhook. I always tell people, when you forgive a person, you unhook or untether the offense from you. Like
Correct.
you just say, "Oh, the debt is paid." Like, "We're good." Yeah, and then you're free. You're free. So, yeah, all of those tips are so, so important. So, like I said, men really need you in this space, and so I'm going to pray that your coaching, your coaching practice gets full of men, because we need good healthy men. This leads to my next question, okay? Because we need good, healthy men out here. The dating and relationship landscape has gotten really toxic, very, very toxic. There are so many people, men and women, who are frustrated with dating, online dating, meeting people in person. They're frustrated with the quality of people that are available right now. What are your thoughts on what's happening in this landscape? And do you see things changing in the future?
I'm going to answer the last part first. Maybe in 100 years.
Ooh.
Not being negative. It's really hard to see the change in that aspect unless men and women are willing to come together
Mhm.
and listen to each other.
Right.
So this goes back to some of the relationship landscape problems we're having. It's a competition. Who hurt
Right.
who the most? You
Right.
have women saying, "Well, men hurt women more. Men hurt women more." And you see it sometimes in the group when they go back and forth with some of the banter, and it's like, "Well, what about the men? Well, what about the women?" And we got to
Right.
come away from that, and that
Right.
goes into the dating arena. But when you see people talking about, "Well, I can't find a sound relationship," I've I don't know where this number came from. It's stuck with me. I've tried to research and try to find data, or you might be able to come up better with this. But I think about 90% of people dating today are unhealed from
Mm,
past relationships.
wow.
And I
Ooh,
think that pulls into a lot of relationships and causes a lot of problems. So that takes your numbers down, to people, quality people willing to date. Um, because I find it myself, and something I tell other people, you got to know your needs.
yep.
You got to know what you need in a relationship. You need to jot down a list of what you think a healthy relationship looks like. People
Mm,
don't take time for that. We are
nope.
so quick to invest in ourselves and everything else, whether it's our job, our practices, you being a therapist, we're gonna
Mhm.
put all the extra money in it.
Yep.
But we don't put time into investing in relationships and learning uh what it's like to be loved. We don't put
Hmm.
money and time and resources into that. We think we're gonna get it from a meme or reality TV type of shows and stuff. And
Hmm.
I always tell people, the hardest thing is finding what you need and what you're attracted to.
Hmm.
And I, so it's hard. So because we attraction is going to be the first thing.
Right.
You see somebody, you're like, oh man, she's a beautiful woman, or he's a handsome guy. That's the first thing. Now
Right.
the next is character.
Mm.
We got to get to that next step. The
Right.
character. I think a lot of people skip the character part.
They do.
Yeah, that's a big thing. But that's a lot of I think the relationship problems we see out there is that, and people, and then go back to the love part.
Hmm.
People are looking for love, but I think a lot of people don't know what love is.
They
It's like
don't.
people when they
Yeah.
when they say, "Oh, I'm not in love with him anymore," or "I'm not in love with her anymore." No, you're just choosing not to love them no more
Right.
because love's a verb. I mean, there's feelings and all this stuff, but it's an action word. So you're
Hmm.
having to choose to be in love with that person every
Right.
day. You have to
Right.
choose to. So when you say I don't love them no more, you're choosing to stop loving that individual.
Hmm.
And then I think some people, and especially I'll say for men, they've never experienced true love.
Mm.
In some
Yeah.
cases, they didn't get the love they needed from their mom, and it's nothing
That's,
against the
yep.
women. They didn't get it from their mom because
Right.
they had to be the man of the household, you know,
Right.
or they didn't get it from their dad because their father wasn't around. So
Right.
you have all these different things. So now they're trying to experience something they've never experienced. You got a woman
Yeah.
who's the right woman for him. I don't like these words perfect, but the right woman for him
Right.
and
Right.
trying to love him. And she's doing everything right, but he can't accept it because he doesn't
Yeah.
know what love really feels like. Um, because he's grew up in a toxic environment. So that's
Right.
really the biggest arena when you see relationships and why I think they're failing so much, or it's so hard to find people because it's a blame game. People don't really know what they need. They like what they want. They want
Mm.
stuff, and then it's the instead of unconditional, it's conditional.
Right. Right.
I'll date you or I'll love you if instead
Mm.
of giving unconditionally of oneself and being selfless instead of selfish.
Right, right. Ooh. Yeah, there's so many layers to that question, like you said, and it's heartbreaking because I come from I like to tell people I come from the Jodeci era. I come from, the Keith Sweat era. I come from the Albie Shore era where, they sang about love and dating and, relationships and, I just come from that. So to
Right.
see it come to this, where people, like you said, they either don't know what love is, they don't want love, they don't want a healthy relationship. I mean, it's like mind altering. Like, wow, this is what it's come to. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So that question is really, really layered. Um, yeah, it's something out here, but I hope my platform gives people hope because I do believe that just like I always tell my ladies on my platform, I said, just like I exist and I've done my work, I'm in a great place, I'm happy and healthy and whole. I believe there's a man out there that is my equivalent in that way. He's happy and healthy and whole, and he exists. So now, how long it might take for he and I to find each other is another thing, but I do believe
Right.
that it exists. So there are people out there who want to do their work. They're not perfect, and that's what I always tell women. It is not so much that the man has arrived, but he must have a growth mindset. He must be
Correct.
willing to grow. Do not touch him with a 10-foot pole. If he tells you anything that sounds like, well, this is just the way I am, I can't change, if he says that, like, he has to be willing to grow. And as long
Yeah.
as he's willing to grow, I mean, to me, that's a lot.
And that's the truth. And that's what that's what I coach a lot of men. And I tell them, like, where you're at today. And again, the first thing for me is I won't even work with you if you're not willing to take accountability.
Right.
That's number one.
Right.
And be held accountable. So I
Yep.
can't even work with you on that. I don't care what you offer me, what you're trying to pay me. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So that's the first step in me dealing with them. But I tell them, I said, you need to be your best version. You need to be a king with don't matter if you don't have a kingdom, you still need to be a king. You need to walk around with priesthood within you all the time. And that will draw you to that queen that you should meet. And I think a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people walk around with the accept me as I am. That's become society today. Accept me as I am attitude. Yeah. And it does damage a lot of things. And it's like, and I agree, to a point, you have to accept certain people, yes. But if it's toxic or negative, no.
That's what we're saying. Right.
Yeah. So, some people are like, oh yeah, no. Well, I'm like, no, you're missing the point. Don't take it that way. Yeah. If you're doing the things, trying to grow and do things the right way, we're not talking about you. We're talking about people who are just like, if I'm a act this way or have an attitude all the time, just deal with me. No, I'm not going to deal with an attitude. I'm going to walk away. I'm good. I'm like you. We from the same era, so I'm not going to be stressed. I'm not going to be stressed out. I will become the king of cutoff. I just really don't have the kind of time for that. But I tell God, grow. My thing is just grow, and don't. Every woman that you encounter, give her the opportunity to show who she is. Everybody is not your ex. Right. And I know for a lot of men it's hard, especially men who went through divorces and they're paying alimony and they're paying child support, and they're on the burn side. They were the one, they got burned and they still paying. So again, that it's hard, so I tell them, I said, no, every woman's not the same. Right. And I said, just like you, I feel like that right person's out there for me. But we're never gonna find if we don't date.
Exactly.
And that's a process. I think a lot of people are not open to it. I hear a lot of what people say. I'm cool being single. If I got to die by myself, I'm good. I don't think anybody wants to grow old alone.
No, they don't. And they don't mean that. That's a defense mechanism because, I'm not able to have what I want. But I'm always screaming from the rooftops, yes, I need my man. I need my, I'm always saying that. And that's why people are always trying to hook me up, because they're like, yeah, Anita owns it. Like, she doesn't try to play it off. I'm like, no, somebody, like, somebody, I'm not trying to play it off. No, I know that, the other half is out there. My masculine pole is out there, and I'm excited to meet him. I'm excited to have that polarity together. I am the natural feminine, and I am excited to meet my masculine, partner. So yeah, but it's a lot of layers to this thing. And I believe it took us, I don't know, maybe 20 years plus to get here. It just makes me sad to think that it would be 20 more years for us to right this ship. But the good news is, like I said, there are a lot of great platforms like yours, other male influencers that I know that are doing great work. I follow them. I can just shoot off at least 10 male coaches or male platforms that I follow, and they're doing amazing work. So I'm hoping that it's cool, to be a man again. It's cool to be a healthy masculine man. It's cool to have standards. It's cool to, like you said, go to therapy and do your work, do that healing work. I'm hoping that the guys out there are making it cool to do that. So.
And that's the best part about it. It's just, I can always tell people too, and I tell guys, have fun. Have fun. Every date's not gonna lead down the aisle.
Right.
And I think take that pressure off of you. Go out and date. If you're interested, date. If it doesn't work, just be honest. I tell guys, I don't like the ghosting thing, the non-communication thing. Communicate. If it's not working, if you're not feeling her, just tell her. I said, and you hear, I don't want to hurt her feelings. This, no, you're going to hurt her worse if you
Yeah.
string her along.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's just, there are really good guys out here. There's wonderful platforms out there with other males doing this stuff, and it has to happen because as men, especially black men, we've been so torn down in so many different ways that it's a place where we got to be able to be men and
Right.
be men again and
Right.
do what we have to do.
Right. Yep.
Even in dating, I tell the ladies, let a man be a man.
Right.
Let
That's
him be a
right.
man. I can't trust men. Well, then you don't need to date number one so you can trust men.
See?
But
See?
let the man lead. Let the man be a man until he's showing you he can't be that man.
Right. And that's,
And
yep, that's it.
so, so that's one of those conversations you go back and forth with men and women. And I tell men, let the lady be a lady. Let her be a woman. Do what you can to keep her in that feminine state.
Right.
And that's a whole conversation I noticed kind of gaining steam lately with different things. I just did a whole series on them, got we ready to load up
Okay.
those on there. We're
Okay.
talking about that.
Yeah.
But it's I understand it, and it's real. For a man to stay in his masculine role, there are things he's got to do. For a woman to stay in her feminine role, there's things she has to do. But
That's
it's a
right.
process. It's a process, and that comes from trust.
Right.
That's when I hear people, I can't trust. As soon as I hear that,
Yeah.
you need to walk out the dating arena. I don't care who you are. You don't need to date at all. As soon as you say those words,
Yeah.
man, woman, it don't matter. You do not need to be dating at all.
I agree. I agree. And in my practice, I hear I have trust issues. Okay, what are you doing about those trust issues? And two, like you said, stop engaging with people because you're not having an authentic exchange. If you can't trust someone, you can't have anything real.
Right.
So, and that's what I'm about. I'm about what's real, So, no, let's not have a fake play relationship or I trust you to a point. That's what I hear a lot. Well, I trust her to a point. No, that's not real. That's not real. That's not authentic. You want something that's for play. And no, I don't help people with that. I help people, like you said, be vulnerable, be real, be radically honest. I'm a big believer in radical honesty. So, yeah, you tell a person, I tell my ladies, you give a man 3 dates. And if after 3 dates, you're not feeling any connection or chemistry, or you don't think you all have enough in common, you honestly tell him that. I'd hate to lead you on. And some women tell me, well, I felt it, I didn't feel anything really after 1 date. Sometimes I tell women to go out again because, people are not at their best on the first date. So, try again. But if you don't feel anything again or it's too awkward, just be honest. Be honest with them and say, we're not a good fit for each other.
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
wish
it.
I wish you were around for some of my dates because I'm telling you, I've gone out and and I'm a gentleman. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to pull a chair. I'm going to do. I'm a chivalrous person. I would tell guys we need to get back to being chivalry. That
Right.
chivalry aspect of things. But yeah, I have women disappear, and I'm just like, but I'm not going to hunt you down either. I'm not going to chase. Like I teach my men, I was like, pursue, don't chase. The moment you feel like you're in a chase, walk away. You need to stop and back up because you may be overwhelming her. You may be, number of different things are going on with that. Because, and I tell men, be careful that you're not looking for a relationship too, because you need to be dependent on that woman.
Right.
So you got to, so I recommend that book on codependency. It's a big read for me, for them, because that sometimes damages the relationship and you run her off because you're this way. And I felt like I did that a couple of times because I'm naturally a relationship type person.
Okay.
And it gets to a place where it's like, oh man, it's just too much. Or I've been told you're too perfect, or I've been called a unicorn, different things. But I'm like, I've been the same way. I've been this way since I started dating. I don't even know how long ago, 35 years, 36 years ago.
Right.
But I've been the same way. I was just raised this way.
Right.
So as I told somebody yesterday, I was talking to him. I said, I want to be the norm. I don't want people looking in and saying, well, there's only a few of you out there. Like, I want us to become the norm, men like that.
I agree.
So women can say, hey, wow, there's a lot of guys out here that way. But it starts with recognizing what you need to do different as a man.
That's it. That's it. So this has been a fantastic conversation. I just want to take this time to say thank you, Carl, for joining me on the show today. I'm sure my listeners are going to get so much value out of this. Is there a product or a service that you would like to tell us more about or that my listeners should check out?
They actually, if they go to my Instagram page, call it Coach, and that's where a lot of my information is at right now. Or they can go to my Facebook page, and it's also called the Coach on there. And they can, if they wanted to, I do free consultation sessions on there. But there's a lot of things I'm putting on there that will help. Yeah, I talk to the men, but I tell women, if you can watch the videos, you'll pick up a lot of what I'm teaching to the men. I don't have a page where I don't want women seeing those things. I feel like it helps both sides when you hear it from a man talking to another man, from that. So absolutely, awesome. I appreciate that.
Okay, so ladies, I want you to go to Carl the Coach on Instagram and Facebook, and please like his Facebook page. Please follow him on Instagram so that you can reach out and connect with him there if you're interested in coaching, or if you have a man in your life that needs coaching. I'm sure, a lot of ladies would love to send their men, like I said. Oh, Lord. We both need help, though. The men and the women need help out here. God knows we do. But thank you so much for being on the show. I so appreciate this. Ladies, if you are not subscribed to the podcast yet, I just don't know what else you're doing with your life. I mean, please, please, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're watching this video on YouTube, do me the biggest favor ever and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like this video, share this video, hit that bell icon so you can be alerted every Monday morning when a new podcast episode loads. Okay? If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast, please email it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also reach out to me and find out everything about me, my coaching, my products, my services, the brand new book, Choose Well, A Simple Formula to Determine the Best Man for You, available on Amazon right now. You can get all that information on my website, www.betterlovemovement.com. Thank you so much, ladies, for listening today. And as always, stay open to love. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Your ratings and reviews help me to continue to bring you more great content. Head on over to YouTube and check out the Better Love Movement channel. There's more video content there, and you can subscribe to be notified when a new video is posted. If you have a question that you would like to have answered on the podcast or in a YouTube video, please send it to me at info@betterlovemovement.com. You can also connect with me directly on the Magnify app to have your dating and relationship questions answered. That's MAGNIFI, and it's available on iOS and Android. You get your first 5 minutes for free. So give me a call and let's chat. Doesn't it feel good when you have found the man who truly loves and cherishes you? Everything in the world is a little bit brighter. Well, this can happen to you, especially when you have the skills to choose the best man for you. Order your copy of the new book, Choose Well, A Simple Formula to Determine the Best Man for You, today on Amazon.